Hello YouTube, this is Charlie426, and today we have the review of the Revoltech, the Yamaguchi line, the Evangelion product model, custom type unit 8 type beta, or something like that. So the names of these units become very longer, so basically this one I know as, or I usually call it the Eva Unit 8 type beta, so that's the way how I'm going to call it. Anyway, so once again, I have reviewed some Revoltech figures in the past, and some of them got some really good, feedbacks and views and such. And personally, I have this, I can't say the Revoltech figures all of them are like amazing, they're like the best figures ever, but still I do have a personal, story with Revoltech, so which is why I tend to support them and buy their products time to time. Because for those who don't know, like Revoltech, their figures were the first actual, like figures that I bought as a kid. This was the first brand that I actually bought with my own money. So yeah, that's starting from there. Like, yeah, I have like this weird, strange attachment to the Revoltech stuff. Anyway, so yeah, the first Revoltech figure I actually bought as a kid was the Unit 2. Now, when I mean by Unit 2, I'm talking about the first original Unit 2. So, like, even as a Revoltech line, they're one of their first early products of the Unit 2. So, I'm not talking about the recent ones. Anyway, so let's see what we got. So, this one, I bought this as a secondhand some time ago. So, there might be some errors. There might be some, some reason why the guy was selling this for a cheap price. And I can already see a few reasons, but still, I'll get into that later. But for now, yeah, here it is. So I think color-wise, despite being a second hand, I think it's really in good shape, because usually some Revoltech figures, according to other people, the white areas can become like yellowish really easily, but in this case I am not seeing that case at all. And then Revoltech figures can easily have really paint errors a lot, like paint app errors a lot, but in this one I think they did a pretty good job on it as well. So lucky, that's part is lucky, but I think the fact that this was being sold for very cheap, like more than half price, a little bit around half price, or maybe 70, about 30% of the real grade version price. I think it's just the fact that it's really hard to like touch or manage this figure, because while taking pictures, I had extremely hard time doing certain poses. Alright, so let's go over the components. So first of all, what you get, of course, is obviously the Unit 8 type beta as well. So in terms of design, there are some differences from the alpha version. So the alpha version has the more typical Eva style body and arms and color scheme. Now this one has more pink on it. The arm designs are kind of different, and according to the wiki, the chest or the body section has a different style as well. So just keep that in mind. Now I do have another unit, a more recent Unit 2 version. However, the thing is that I haven't reviewed that, so which is why I don't want to bring it out yet. Alright, so here are the weapons / accessories that you're supposed to use with this unit. So number one, we get the Unit 8's pistol. I actually really do like this design as well, and the color, very well done. So basically, I do like the small compact weapon, and we get Unit 8 sniper rifle, definitely big, and the design or style is very different from like, especially like from the Gundam universe. Definitely a unique design rifle that we don't see every day. And yeah, I think it came out really clean, except for maybe the end barrel where there is a little bit of a red smudge around the area, but oh well. Alright, and then the hands we get we get 4 sets of hands, including the ones I'm currently using, the fist ones, and then we have the fully open hands, we have the trigger finger hands, and then we have this one that has doing a thumbs up, but this is technically actually meant for when you're holding the rifle weapons. If you want to do it like a two-hand pose, this is the one you're supposed to use. I tend to use this specific hand for the sniper rifle, and for the open style hand, I use the second hand, this fully open hand for the pistol. So yeah. And just to give you an idea, like these hands do have some articulation on their own, where the wrist area does move a little bit. So yeah. And then here are some other stuff. So actually, I guess I should mention this. Like every time you buy a Revoltech figure, this I believe this set should be coming out as a pretty basic, extra set. So this is always like almost included in every Revoltech figure. So we have an extra stand, we have an extra joint here. Now I'm not gonna, these aren't exactly extra joints for the figure. These are actually joints to connect these parts together as well. And then we get the typical Revoltech style stand. So each Revoltech figure should have a hole on their feet. So if you're having trouble making them stand on their own, this is what you use. And then I'm not sure why they gave in this one. Now this is supposed to be like a sliding you know, effect part here, so you can still use this as a stand, but I'm not sure why they gave this into the Eva. For me, I believe they used this for the first time for the Gunbuster for Revoltech, which is, according to a lot of people, is a terrible figure for some reason, but still, yeah, kind of surprised to see this here. And as usual, some Revoltech figures should come with this box, which is meant to hold your small piece accessories, like the hands, the weapons, and such. Now, of course, there are going to be some stuff that you won't be able to put in here. Alright, and then we get some parts. Now, these ones, as far as I could understand the box, since I can't read Japanese, these are meant for the Unit 13. And yeah, here we have this drone, which is actually was used by the Unit 13, and then we have a small AT field for the effect part as well. So you can technically, according to mine, you can connect these parts together to give out the effect. But I try to do that, but once again, it's a very stiff connection, so I have to really push it in here. But if I try to push it in, then my fingers would get, you know, poked by these spiky areas, and it's really painful. So I'm not going to show you guys that. So, and these are all for making them hold. These stands are also extension parts to make sure that you can connect it here and connect it to a stand here. So it's a really complicated way to connect these stuff. There are definitely much more easier ways, but they decided to go with this set. Alright, so we've seen the basics of the kit. I mean the figure. Let's see what we got. Sorry, Force of Habit, since I do review more model kits compared to figures. Yeah. Alright, so the look here. So when I first opened the box, I definitely had a question here where, why are the eyes are black? Now, apparently they aren't exactly black. While taking pictures, you might see them in the intro pictures, but some, with the right amount of light actually contacted with the eyes, they actually are actually green. So that was definitely a interesting aspect. At first, from far away, it looks like black. Even with my current eyes, they're definitely black, but in the camera, I can kind of see a little bit of green glow as well. So that's a really interesting effect, if you ask me. Alright, so as far as I know, these more recent Revoltech Eva units, they should have more better proportions and such, but once again, because they changed the entire like molding and such, some area it's definitely harder for me to manage the figure or touch the figure, because the way how they move are now a little bit different. Alright, so the one I was really impressed was definitely with the neck as well. Now, the Eva unit, the mass production type version, the one with the white smile, and then those were definitely good. Now, this one, yeah, I guess the neck joint is really long, so you can go down that much. I'm not sure if a human can do that, but since this is a mech, so I guess it's possible. Although I'm not really sure when you will be using this. And going up, not so much, but you can still move the head up a little bit better. Alright, and then the shoulders. Now, what I was really surprised was that the way how they did this area. So they actually now have their own moving part only on the top section, using a smaller Revoltech joint here. Now, at this point, I'm pretty sure you guys should be familiar with Revoltech joints, but if not, I'll get into that later. But still, here you can move this on their own, and I believe since you can rotate this small joint, so you can, if you want to move this the other way around, but still that's the way how it works. So, and they do pop out a little bit easily depending on how you do it. So yeah, because back then I believe what they would do is that this would be a single piece, and then there would be this piece would be actually the front. These two parts would be connected together with a rod, and that rod would be going through the arm. So I think they kind of changed that aspect as well. So anyway, once again, we have on the shoulders, we have also another Revoltech joint, so you can move forward and backward, and you can see, you can see because of age, that's kind of trying to split a little bit, but still, they don't split that easily, so no need to worry about that. And then going to the side is possible, and with the extra movement here, with the movement on the shoulder armor part, it should be less painful or less, bothersome to the head, because sometimes this would get in the way on the old figure. So you should have a little more easier time on the arms. So you can hear that click noise. That is a ratchet noise. So that's basically how Revoltech joints work. They would. So let me just take one off just to give you guys a better example. So this is a Revoltech joint. Now, there are various sizes here. I'm not sure if this is the standard size. This definitely looks slightly smaller, but this is what a typical Revoltech joint looks like. You have two pegs on each side, and you can move this around. And you can see it's basically a ratcheted joint. So once you have it in position, there's no way it should be drooping down on its own. So yeah. Now the downside of that is that you need to always know which direction your joint is facing. So in order to, if you want to move in, make sure you know which way this moving or pointing, so you don't actually break or snap it. So yeah, this is the way how it connects. So this is the where it goes in. So yeah. So this one isn't too different from the previous ones. And then for the bend of the arms here, we have a smaller. Now the smaller the Revoltech joint is, it still has the ratchet, but it may feel slightly weaker. So yeah, just be aware of that. So we have a very decent bend going on here. And then because the way how the structure is, moving the arms 360 is not going to be easy. So you have to you have to work your way around to move it 360. And then the lower arm does rotate 360 on its own, but once again, make sure you know which way the pegs are connected. Now, one issue I'm having is that the hands, every time I swap the hands, the right arm, this piece tends to pop out together really easily. So when I'm demonstrating some poses, do excuse me because I'm not going to use this part because it does get in the way a lot. Alright, so there we go. So the main body, it's very we still have one single Revoltech joint inside the belly, so you can move forward. I think you can go slightly more if you force it, but once again, forcing anything to go beyond is not that good. And then going backwards, I think this is as far as you go, because if I go more, there's a chance that the top body will pop off. So let's not make that happen. So that's that. So moving side to side, you do have some limitations because the way how the joint is connected is that it's not a straight line. It's actually, the top joint is actually in an angle like this. So, which is why you do have some limitations in rotating the body. All right, and then on the sides here, unlike the previous original Eva units from the Revoltech first original line, the original ones did not have these on the sides. There would just be a rotating joint, but instead at some point they started slapping in the Revoltech joints on the sides. So which is why we do have a nice side swivel going on here, and then depending on the direction, you can have a decent kick. If you want to go to the side, then I have to basically rotate the joint as well. So let me just try that actually. So if I were to try to go with a split here, I believe I would have to do like something like this. But once again, yeah, you get the idea. And oh, so this is interesting. So instead of going into the middle, this one's actually going inside here. So to the back side section there, which is why it's not going to be easy to do a side kick here. But depending on how you rotate it, you should be able to do so. So they really tried to slim down the entire figure a lot for some reason. And then bend wise, we have another Revoltech joint here, so we get a nice decent bend. Now the ankles are kind of interesting. Their feet are very small, but once again, we do have these small Revoltech joints here. So once again, we do have a nice moving point. Now it's a pivot point. There is a small pivot point, but once again, make sure you know which way the peg is, facing, so you can actually work out the pivot instead of forcing it. Because there are cases where people accidentally break these joints. So yeah, just be aware of that. Alright, so we've seen the basics of the figure. So I say it does definitely have some decent articulation, but not as free as as a typical robot Damashi figure or a model kit. So once again, but still workable. Alright, so we've seen the basics of the figure, so I'll be right back with the demonstrations of the two weapons, the pistol and the sniper rifle. Okay, I'm back. So here we have the first demonstration here. Here we have the pistol holding pose. Now this pose was definitely much more difficult compared to the sniper rifle holding pose, because just following the entire process, trying to do the exact same pose or position of the body parts and the arms was definitely difficult, because some areas just doesn't work. Because one of the biggest issues with Revoltech figures is that there are molding issues time to time. So for example, on my one, the left joint goes into the body fully, but the right joint on the Revoltech joint doesn't go in fully. That means there is a molding error in there as well. So definitely difficult. But once again, once you get the hang of it, you should be able to pull it out. So yeah, I think they did a really good job on the pose. It definitely looks natural, and I do like the small compact pistol design there. Alright, so we've seen the first demonstration here, so I'll be right back with the sniper rifle pose. Okay, so here's the final demonstration. Here we have the sniping pose, and this was, for some reasons, just really easy to do so. Like the body, I could just move the position of the head and arm in the exact correct position, and yeah, it was really easy to do so. Now, once again, I really like the sniper rifle design, although if I had to mention, I've just noticed this, just be careful with this extra part here. Definitely, it looks like the most fragile part of the rifle, so be careful when you're handling the rifle as well. Now, obviously, we still use the same trigger finger as the pistol hand, but once again, it has to go onto this side right away. So when you're first looking at the sniper rifle handle here, you might get a little bit confused, but it actually fits in there. And I forgot to mention while explaining the pistols that when it comes to Revoltech, you kind of need to jam the weapon inside to the hand. At first, they might feel extremely stiff, but that's just the way how it is. And when I first bought this, I really had trouble doing this pose, but that was because I was trying to make the other hand hold the barrel. However, according to the box, there was actually a separate area that the other hand had to hold. And once I got the hang of it, yeah, it was really easy to do so. And I really like the fact that because of the head design having multiple sensors, it just makes sense. And as you can see the green glow onto the eyes instead of black. So yeah. And because thanks to the Revoltech style joints, once you have it in position, there's no way the legs can move or it can change position on their own. So it's definitely a big bonus when it comes to these type of poses. And the head, since the head can also has that extra moving neck joint, and then the head can rotate on its own, making the head line up with the scope perfectly is a really huge bonus. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the review. So this was the review of the Revoltech Eva Unit 8 Type Beta. I'm pretty sure there's multiple versions of these. Like there's the Alpha, and then there's more Revoltech figures coming out from the Eva line. So yeah. However, if you're into, once again, this being Revoltech, it's not going to be meant for everyone. It's not the most easiest figure to deal with. So do make sure you make the right decision when you're buying this. Anyway, thank you for watching the review. This was the review of the Revoltech Eva Unit 8 Type Beta. If you guys got any questions or requests, in the comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews out, so please stay tuned. Until then, see you guys next time.